everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to our third installment of the Friday feature here on Cora's Quilts. And today is super exciting. It's the day that I know that you've all been waiting for quite a while. It is the day that we are going to talk all things about Sunkissed, which is our 2021 Mystery Quilt Along. I am so excited for this project. I've been waiting to get this started since I first kind of sketched this project up a few years ago. And so I'm so excited that it's finally here and we can start working about it and working on it and talking about it together. So again, today you are here to learn all about all things Sunkissed Mystery Quilt Along. If you are relatively new to my channel here or to my company, every year for the past 6 years, we have hosted a mystery quilt along, and they are by far, I think, the most fun quilt alongs that we have each year. And so I always get a question or two emailed in about what is a mystery quilt along. So a quilt along is where we all sew together working on the same project, generally at about the same pace. It's an opportunity for me to kind of help you through some of the more troublesome spots and kind of troubleshoot a bit. And it's just really fun to come together as a community and work on a quilt along project together. And so a mystery project is just like a regular quilt along, only I'm the only one that knows what the final quilt looks like for the mystery quilt along. So you will get in my mystery quilt alongs a series of clues week by week that will have you put together smaller building blocks. And then as the weeks go on, you put together these building blocks into larger blocks. And then finally, you put together a finished quilt. And so here on the screen, I have some of our previous mystery quilt projects. They've all been super fun. And I'm really excited to get started on Sunkissed. So how does this all work? Beginning on Friday, March 12th, we will post a short series of directions on our blog, and I'm going to call these clues. And so each clue is going to provide the directions for making a shape or two. And then each week you'll take those shapes and build on them to make them into larger shapes until we have some blocks. So the first clue there on March 12th will be your full cutting instructions, and then pieces or clues 2 through 10 will provide the piecing instructions, starting with smaller building blocks and moving to larger blocks. And then clue number 11, which takes place towards the end of May, will have your full assembly instructions for the quilt. So I understand that a lot of people that are new to mystery quilt alongs are kind of nervous about joining a project where you don't know what the finished design will be. And I know that some people just, I always get a few emails saying, if I promise not to tell, will you let me look at the finished project and then I can decide whether I want to participate or not. And that is an absolutely understandable and valid question, but we will not give you a hint. What I can do if you're nervous or on the fence about joining us is I can say, look at some of the 5 previous mystery quilt along projects that we've done. It'll give you an idea of the kinds of projects that we like to do. Sunkissed is a brand new, never been seen before pattern, but it is similar in kind of the style and aesthetics as some of our previous mystery quilt alongs. You can also, if you kind of want to see the pacing of how our mystery quilt alongs go, we still have last year's mystery pattern, the Luna mystery quilt. You can buy the mystery pattern in our shop. And this isn't a pattern in a traditional quilt form. It's a pattern that we've left in a series of weekly clues. And the way that is different than a traditional pattern. A mystery pattern is different from the traditional pattern because we just take the clues and we kind of scramble them up. So we don't kind of go in the same kind of order we would go on in a traditional pattern. We kind of scramble things up to kind of preserve the magic, to kind of prolong the moment of reveal as long as possible. So, and if you're also on the fence, you might wait for a few weeks and kind of see some of the shapes that we're building and kind of see how we're putting them together. And that might be, you know, a deciding factor for you too, because we'll be sharing our pictures here in our Facebook group and on Instagram and on the blog, so you can kind of see how things are going and how they are revealing. So yes, it is all very mysterious. So what can I share with you? This year's project has two size options to choose from. There's a 60-inch throw size and a 92-inch queen size. And I know that many of you are probably looking for a quilt somewhere in between. And unfortunately, with this project, there is not really a happy medium between these two sizes. You know from all of the projects that I design that my quilts kind of have an overall giant design that the kind of smaller blocks build into. So for to come to like this all over, you know, life-size large design. And so because of that, there's not really a way that we can combine the blocks and leave them to make that final large scale design and have a quilt that's in between these two sizes. So unfortunately for this project, that doesn't work. However, you will have some triangle trimmings from some of your stitch and flip blocks from this project, and we will have matching fabric yardage in our shop. So it would be very easy to take that throw size and add some additional borders. You can piece them with your leftover half square triangles. You could add solid borders. You could do quite a bit to kind of size up and kind of get yourself closer to that size that you are looking for. You could do the same with the queen too. If you wanted to upsize it to the king, you could do that by adding some solid borders and whatnot. So that's not going to be part of the quilt along, but that is absolutely something that you could do at a later date as you are finishing. All right, and then we also have pulled together, and I'm so excited about these. I am on the fence about which palette I'm going to be sewing along with, but we've pulled together two different color palettes for you. And these are kind of just for inspiration. They give you kind of some different options from pulling fabric from your stash if you'd rather do that. These give you two really great examples of how you can do that. And again, we'll talk about the color theory more a little bit next week, but these are the two color palettes that we're working on. We have I checked this morning before our stream started, and we do still have these kits in our shop, both colorways and both sizes. So those kits do tend to sell out fast. So if you want to make sure that you have the kits in hand and ready to start sewing with when we start our first clue in mid-March, I would encourage you not to wait. Typically, when we have to reorder kits, if we're even able to reorder them, there's a bit of a delay, and so you have a few weeks to catch up. So if you're looking at the kits, I would encourage you to get them as soon as possible. So, all right, so how do you join? It's very easy. Our quilt alongs, our mystery quilt alongs here at Cora's Quilts are free for individual quilters to participate in. And so every Friday beginning on March 12th at 10:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time, where we are here in Northern California, you'll be able to go on to our blog and download the clue for the week, which provides you the instructions. It's a free download, so you don't have to put any billing information in at all. And you do this every week for 11 weeks, all the way through May 21st. Why 10:15 a.m.? I know in years past we have done them first thing in the morning for you East Coasters, but 10:15 a.m. is also the time that we do these Facebook Friday features. And so on Fridays, you can tune in here to our Facebook channel and see what we did for the week. And then right after our Facebook Live session, you can go over to our website, go to the shop and download the instructions and stop by our blog to read some kind of tips and tricks and suggestions for helping you put the blocks together. Alrighty. So let's go back to talking about fabric for just a few minutes. This quilt was specifically designed with my brand new Spring Song fabric collection in mind. The collection has such a great variety of bold jewel tone colors and some really lovely low volume blenders that it was kind of the perfect pick for this project. And as we mentioned before, we have quilt kits in stock for both colorways in both color palettes. And so what is included with the quilt kits? I get a lot of questions about that. The quilt kits include the entire amount of fabric that you need for your quilt top plus your binding. So for the throw size, that's 8 yards. For the queen size, that is 17 yards of fabric. And we will have backing. Somebody emailed me this morning and said that they couldn't find the backing kits. We will have backing kits that you can pre-order as well. So the quilt kit includes the fabric for your quilt top and binding. It also will include a digital copy of the full pattern to download and keep at the end of the Quilt Along in May. And it also comes with this really fabulous printed pattern folder. It's a great way to kind of keep your clues organized from week to week and in order. It's a nice heavy duty cardstock that's been professionally printed, and it's just a great way to stay organized. And because it's never any fun to get fabric in the mail and not be able to do anything with it, along with these Mystery Quilt Along kits, you will also get an advanced copy of the cutting instructions. So that means as soon as your kit is delivered, you will be able to start cutting and prepping and getting your fabric ready. This year, which is so new and super fun, I've also designed these adorable little quilty sticker labels to keep all of your pieces organized. If you've made any quilts from any of my patterns before, you know all of your cut pieces are labeled with a letter. And so I designed some super cute, adorable quilty stickers to help you keep your pieces organized. So if you want to see what these look like, I'll be sharing on Instagram later a little sneak peek at what these look like. So, and then also included with your quilt kit is free membership to our Saturday socials. And more on that in a minute, but the fabric will be shipping out. Somebody just asked, when are the kits shipping out if we've purchased? We've already ordered the fabric, and it's a huge order, and it's coming all the way from the East Coast. So we expect the fabric to land here in our studio in about a week to 10 days, and then we should start having them out to you by the middle of February if you've already purchased your quilt kit and paid in full. I do encourage you again to not wait if you're planning on getting the kits, just to make sure, because we all know that the postal system is painfully slow still. And so I want to make sure, if you're hoping to have the fabric in hand by the time we're ready to start sewing, that you get your quilt kit as soon as possible. Oh, and then through the end of January, through the end of next week, we are offering the option for you to pay for the quilt kit in full, or to split your payment up into 3 equal segments, which will charge to your card every 2 weeks automatically. So you have the option to pay in full or split your payment up into 3 equal payments. So. All right, back to the social Saturdays. We started these Saturday socials last year with our Luna Mystery Quilt Along, kind of as an experiment as we were at home and kind of quarantining together. And they were so much fun that I don't know that we could ever have a quilt along without having these meetings again. So what are Saturday socials? They are Zoom meetings. They are part sewing circle, part social gathering, part quilting class. And so we meet on Zoom on Saturday mornings with our coffee at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And gives you a chance to watch and participate in a live mini quilting class. The calls are anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how much material we have to cover and how many people are wanting to kind of show and tell as well. So it's a great chance to log on, have some coffee, talk about quilting stuff for a few minutes, and then you'll get to watch me demonstrate live whatever block we're working on for the week. And then time permitting, you'll also have the chance to kind of share the blocks from the quilt along that you've been working on as well. So it's super fun. It's a great chance to kind of just sit back and start your weekend off talking about quilty stuff. So and yes, again, if you are unable to meet a Saturday morning, make a Saturday morning meeting, or you have to miss a class, we will be having the demonstration portions of the meetings on demand for you to watch at your leisure. So we won't necessarily have a lot of the chatting and the sharing there to share, but the demonstration portion we will have on demand for you to watch on our brand new class website platform. So if you've already purchased a kit from our shop, you should have received an email yesterday with instructions on how to log in and get to this class platform. So let's see. And then again, these Saturday social meetings are free with the purchase of your kit. You just have to RSVP and let us know that you want to attend because space is fairly limited. And if you are sewing with fabric from your own stash, but you still want to attend these Saturday social meetings, you can buy a $10 standalone pass, which will give you access to attend all the live meetings if you want, or to come back and watch them on demand. And if you're on the fence about joining these Saturday socials or kind of want to get a feel for what they look like or kind of how they run, we are inviting you to join the first meeting for free, whether you have purchased a kit or a pass or not. But again, we still need you to RSVP. So you can do all of this from our Quilt Along homepage. I will share the link to that in the comments below, or you can just go to corasquilts.com and click on the link to Quilt Along. So free to join the first meeting on Saturday, March 13th, if you kind of want to get a feel for what is going on. All right, and so if you are pulling fabric from your own stash, or you kind of just want to get a feel for what's going on with this project, the fabric requirements are available today. We've published them on our website, and rather than making a mile-long blog post with all of this information, we've put together a download in our shop. It's called Clue Zero because we haven't technically started, but you can go to corasquilts.com/shop and click on the Quilt Alongs link, and you will find a free download that lists your fabric requirements. It gives a little mini color theory lesson, which we'll get into more next week, and it gives you a printed copy with the basic answers to a lot of these frequently asked questions. So again, those are in our shop. And a few more answers just because I've gotten loads of email this week. Difficulty level. This is never an easy question to answer because if I just had to label this as a pattern and give it to you and walk away, I would call it an early intermediate project. It is not specifically hard to do, and there's no specialty techniques. There is just a decent amount of piecing, and we have to do some careful kind of precision piecing to get our blocks to line up. So is that particularly hard? No, but also don't let that early intermediate level scare you off, because there are plenty of areas to kind of help you here. We'll have the blog posts with tips and tricks. You'll have all of your fellow quilters here in our Quilt Along group, and you'll also have the option of joining those Saturday social calls. So all of that is plenty of opportunities to walk you through any of the trickier spots that you might come into. I think at the end of this quilt along though, you will be surprised at how complex of a quilt that you've made with just some really simple blocks that you probably either know how to make already or are really easy to learn how to make. So somebody said, will we need any specialty tools or rulers? No, you will only need your basic quilting supplies. So your basic ruler, rotary cutter and mat, thread, seam ripper, scissors, fabric. That's it. You will also need some sort of a water soluble or temporary marking tool on hand. And we'll be talking more about gathering our supplies and getting ready to sew that very, very first week in March before we post the cutting instructions. So if you just can't wait though, you can go over to the tutorial section on our website, and we have a really great tutorial called the mise en place, some steps to put together, some steps to walk through as you are getting ready to start a new project. So the other question is, does this require any sort of specialty techniques like templates, paper piecing, or foundation piecing? And the answer is no. We are just making some really classic shapes, some half square triangles, some flying geese. We have some diamonds that we'll be making only using squares and rectangles, so you don't need to worry about that. There are no half rectangle triangle units, and the best thing I think I can say is that there are no bias edges too. So we are not working with any triangle pieces. which is really exciting, I think. All right. The other question, back to the techniques. It's a good idea if you kind of think about this as like a little bit of a skill builder project. It's a chance to play around with some different techniques, maybe that you've tried before, maybe that you haven't. If you like them, great. And if not, after a week, we move on to something else. So it's almost kind of like a sampler project in that we're doing something different every single week, which is exciting. Somebody else emailed me and said, how tight is the yardage that you get in the kit? And the question is we've built in a decent amount of wiggle room. I know there's nothing more frustrating than getting yardage from a shop for a kit and finding that you've made a mistake and you need to cut one more piece and you just don't have it. And so our yardage numbers for this pattern and for all of our projects, we calculate the exact number of inches that you need. And then we give you one extra strip of the largest size. So if your largest block is a 5.5-inch block, we build onto that exact yardage, that 5.5-inch strip. And then we take that and round it all the way up to the next nearest quarter yard. So there's plenty of yardage. There is enough wiggle room if you have a funky block that you need to recut or you've lost a square or something. There is enough for that. And if you're nervous or if you just feel like you need even more wiggle room than that, we also have a bonus fat quarter bundle in our shop that goes with, it's one fat quarter of every print from the kit. And so if you want to just have an extra safety net in hand, we have those in the shop as well. And finally, what kinds of blocks will we be making? Some half square triangles again, some flying geese, some of my diamonds that don't use bias edges or triangles or templates, which is very exciting. I'm so excited to get into this with this quilt along. If you really want to get kind of a peek at some of the different types of blocks we'll be making, our full quilt along schedule is over on our website. And so you can check that out after this stream and kind of get a feel for the different types of shapes we will be making. So, and finally, how can you connect with other mystery quilters? Here in our Facebook Quilt Along group is a fantastic place. Fridays are great days during Mystery Quilt Alongs because everybody starts posting all of their blocks and you can see, what everybody else is working on too. You can use post to Instagram using the hashtags for our quilt. And again, you can share in those Saturday social meetings. So that was a whole lot of information. I know that was a whole lot of information. And so I want to let you know that, again, all of this is in writing. It's in a download in our shop. And so all you have to do is go to corasquilts.com and click on the little quilt along link, and you'll be able to get your fabric requirements. You'll be able to get your color theory lesson that we'll talk more about next week. And you will also get kind of the Cliff Notes version of all of the frequently asked questions that we had. So I am going to sign off because I have gone way over our little bit of time for today, but I do want to close off and say that this is my favorite of all of our mystery projects so far, and I'm so excited to start working on it together, and I hope you'll join me. So we will be back here next week with a color theory lesson to talk about how I picked the fabrics for this quilt along and how you can pull some fabrics from your own stash or mix and match the two if you would like. So with that, go off and have a great weekend, and we will see